Trust is the highest form of human motivation. It brings out the very best in people, and that is a quote by Stephen Covey. So, welcome again to the Profitable Photographer, and I'm so excited to introduce and learn about William Lawrence Bell. Before I do, if you don't know, I'm on YouTube. You can find me there. If you don't know, I'm on all the other podcasts. Of course, you can find me there or at lucydumascoaching.com, Lucy with an I. All right, so let me tell you about Mr. Bell. He is in Memphis. He's a portrait artist, educator, and speaker. He helps people see themselves with greater confidence and purpose through museum quality portraiture. His work blends fine art, identity, and storytelling. He creates deeply personal commissioned portraits. I can't wait to talk about that, that celebrate the dignity and significance of every individual. He's a member of Camera Craftsmen of America, which is a big deal. And he created the mirror method, which I'm going to also ask him about. And he helps us photographers create more profit, which, I'm all about that, by aligning our market, client experience, and sales processes around what clients value most. So, William, thank you for saying yes and being on the show. Welcome.
It's my privilege, Lucy. Thank you for asking me.
Yeah. Um, so where do I start? Oh, start number one is where did you start in photography or in business, or what got you saying this is what I want to do is jump into this crazy world of photography?
So, Lucy, my background essentially in fine art from a child. By the time I graduated high school, I was winning art contests.
Mm,
So I'm a natural media artist, actually. But I eventually began. I've always worked from photographs, and I began to realize that I could neither find nor create the highest quality source photograph that I needed for my inspiration. That was when I began to study photography formally, intending only to be able to create a better photograph that I could then draw or paint from.
mm.
But in the process, I became enamored with photographing people. Everything changed in my coursework when I began portraiture, and I have been on that path ever since.
Love it. So, what do you love about photographing people?
The energy. When I was photographing landscapes or cityscapes or wildlife or flowers, I was a casual observer. It was simply
Mm,
me sitting back behind a kind of an invisible, window, if you will, watching the world.
hmm.
When I began photographing people, there's an exchange of energy that's impossible to describe, but it's palpable. And that excited me and opened up my creative vision in ways that I could not have possibly imagined before.
So, what do you say to people who are sworn introverts? And maybe you are, I don't know. Uh, People that are a little afraid of like getting right there with people looking at them being looked at. What are your thoughts on that?
So this begins to tap into a bit of my philosophy. I am myself deeply introverted. I am one of the most introverted types if you're into Myers-Briggs
Hmm.
or Enneagram or any of that. I always test extremely high in the introverted scale. Okay, that doesn't mean that I'm shy and backward. It simply means that I actually get energy by being, my time alone. But it did mean that I had to learn how to approach people. And for me, that comes down to understanding my why. I believe there's something truly amazing, actually magical inside of every human being on the planet. And my purpose in life is to tap into that, to find that, and to call it out of them. So what I say to a photographer who has that kind of penchant to lean back is to understand what it is really that you're doing and the purpose behind it for you, and let that purpose lead.
So, to summarize what I hear is what keeps you from just sitting in your house, creating a career where you're just at a computer and getting out there with people is your why. And that your why is because
Yes.
you believe that each person is special, has a gift. How did you put that? Do you remember?
There is something genuinely magical inside of every human being on the planet
Magical.
that
Yeah.
deserves to be seen and celebrated.
Yes.
Yes.
And
And that's exactly it. Yeah.
so are you like me where you get kind of when you find that and you click the shutter, do you get like a rush, like a hit of tequila or some other, listening to
Oh,
a beautiful.
absolutely.
Yeah, tell me what that's like for you.
Very, yeah. So it's a bit euphoric, actually. I do, if you look at my work, you can tell I do a fair bit of remastering, even when I'm not painting a portrait, which I also do, even when it's a photographic product. I do quite a bit of remastering. But I
Mhm.
have a very, very clear sense of what it is that I want to see in front of the camera. It has nothing to do with a particular color or a particular effect, if you will. It's really all about, as I've been alluding to, energy. And so when someone gives me something that feels true in front of the camera, when I feel like they just showed me a tiny slice of their soul, it's like you said, a shot of tequila for me. That's
Yeah.
exactly what it's like. I actually I have a physical reaction to it. It's
Mhm.
like a warmth that flows through me. And I am very intentional about letting my client or my subject know when they're giving me something real, I'm feeding back to them in real time and letting them know how amazing that is. And I genuinely consider it a gift every single time someone is willing to pull back the curtain and show me even a little bit of who they really are. That's a gift. You quoted Stephen Covey at the beginning of this episode. Trust is in my way of saying it, Lucy, is trust is sacred.
Mm,
I have to earn that, but there's no higher value that I can put on that, right? And so I'm going to do everything that I can to earn it and to protect it.
I love it. Um, so how do you establish trust?
Great question. First of all, I always lean into my why. I let even prospects know right up front, this is why I do what I do. And I consider it to be the way that I was actually sharing this with another photographer just yesterday is rather than me trying to step across an aisle and be more like you, I'm going to simply stand and state, this is who I am, and ask, are you like me? And so I share right up front with prospects and clients, this is why I do what I do. But it's not really about me. If you listen carefully, it's not really about me. It's about you. When I say, I believe there's amazing side of you, that you have gifts and wonder locked inside of you, things that when you share in the world, the whole world gets better. When I say
Mm,
that, I am stating my belief, but what I'm really doing is saying something about you, which, if you agree, it's an easy step across the aisle to say, yes, I'm like you.
I love that. I love that. Um, oh, so many questions. So, what kind of responses do you get, or how do you think, like, do you have any story about how this impacted somebody in a huge way?
Well, I mean, just recently I did a portrait session for a woman. She's a single woman, has no children. She spent 10 years of her life in her early adulthood. I mean, she's only 42, but she spent 10 years of her life caring for her sick father. And
Mm.
her perspective was, this is the man that has raised me and taken care of me. Now he's in need. Of course, I'm going to take care of him. So she more or less put her life on hold for 10 years. And literally a month after finding out that he was in a good, stable place, she was diagnosed with breast cancer.
Oh, geez.
And so she went through a couple of years of chemotherapy and treatments and so forth and so on, and was able finally to hear the words cancer free. Well, when I approached her at a show that I was doing, doing the portrait session, I had no idea with her back. So I was intrigued. We just began to have a conversation. I always begin with a conversation because, as I like to say, I can't say important things about you in a portrait if I don't know anything about you.
You just had a little glitch. So
I'm sorry.
can you start again and we'll edit this. Um, where
Start
when you
from
met
where?
her, where did you meet her?
Oh, so I met her at what we call a home show here in Memphis, kind of similar to a parade of homes, but it all happens at the same place.
Hmm.
And I was set up as a vendor. She was there with her parents, and she saw my work, became intrigued, and we just began to have a conversation. And
Hmm.
I always begin every engagement with a longer conversation because I need to be able to understand who someone is as a person in order to say important things about them in their portraits. So this is where I began to find out some of her story. And she didn't really know what she wanted. She didn't want know, what she wanted to wear or how she wanted to feel or anything like that. But as I began to unpack and learn more about her and her journey and her character, the kind of person that she was, I knew what I wanted to create, at least what I wanted to unveil for her. At the end of her session, she's in tears. We're viewing the images uh, projected large on a screen during her I call it a selection session.
Hmm.
Um, and most photographers would call it a reveal these days. Um, and she begins to fidget. And she says, ever since I photographed her, ever since we actually captured the images, I've just been walking around with more confidence.
Mm.
And she said, it has really changed the way that I show up in the world. Uh,
Wow.
I've always been known as someone who's very kind of closed off and very professional, and I've been able to lean more into being open with people.
Mm.
And then she goes on and she says, she starts to fidget and she starts telling me about how strange it is that as this time of year comes around where she needs to get checked to make sure that she's still cancer free. She starts to get nervous. Am I really cancer free? Is it going to come back? She's heard the stories about people who thought that they were in the clear and then something happened and those kinds of things. And she said, and she's fidgeting and I'm holding space for her and trying to understand where are we going with all of this? And then finally she sits forward, looks me directly in the eyes, and she says, so William, if anything happens to me, you have to speak at my funeral.
Whoa.
And she motions to the images on the screen and she says, because no one else sees me like this.
Mm. Wow. That probably made you feel like everything you've done up to that point was worth it.
I couldn't even speak for several seconds. It was,
No, I'm gonna cry here just thinking about that. I had a good friend, uh, my mentor, pass away, and she didn't let anybody outside of her little group know that she was ill. And yeah, and I got to photograph her besides learning from her,
mm,
and I, saw those things in her. So wow. Whew.
yes,
Um, so I'm thinking about also how every day when she looks at those portraits, it will give her courage. It will remind her of who she is.
yes.
So I have a story about our mutual friend Bruce Hudson. who's
Mhm.
Camera Craftsman. So many years ago, he came and spoke to the San Diego photography group, and part of it was a day long or an evening workshop at the beach. And I won an opportunity to be one of the models.
Mm.
And so he photographed me late in the day at a beautiful beach. And he caught me, it's not just a gorgeous portrait as you could expect of the environment from Bruce, but I'm
Yes.
on a rock. I'm small in the picture and I'm looking up. I call it surrender. Um, and over the last 30 plus years, whenever I've felt like less than, I've gone
Mm.
through divorces and breakups and work challenges and family issues and, lots and lots of normal life things. My eye would fall on that and I'd be like, oh, that's right.
Yes.
That's who I am.
Yes. Yes, Lucy. Yes.
And
That's why I do what I do. I refer to what I do as what I create as magic mirrors.
mhm.
And the way that I like to explain that, even to a prospect on first contact, is what I want is when you wake up in the morning and life is spinning and things are out of control and you leave your bedroom headed toward the coffee pot, that you can just glance up at the wall and be reminded, you know what? I'm amazing, just like I am. And here's the proof.
Yes. And that's why I do it too. Only my why is about children. And I want the
Mhm.
parents and the kids to see those portraits and fall in love with them just a little bit more, or fall in love with themselves and understand how much they are loved
Yes.
every freaking day for the rest of their
Yeah.
life.
I love
I
that.
I sit on my porch. I live in an older neighborhood in San Diego, so I've got a nice porch. I'm on a corner, and lots of dogs and babies and kids come by, and it's so hard for me to not grab all those kids and put them in front of my camera so I can have that exchange and get my little, what did we say, shot of tequila.
Yeah.
Yes, there's a moment, where I see into those children. I see the angels that they are. Yeah. So, okay, so the magic mirror. So, have you pretty much told us about the magic mirror, but we didn't title it until now, or is there more about your magic mirror
So
technique?
yes, it's actually yes. I refer to it as the mirror method, and
Okay.
it's a philosophy and a methodology, and I've given you kind of the underpinnings of it, but fundamentally, it's actually a system. It's a framework. I developed it because I recognized there's a pattern to what I do successfully over and over again that I've been doing for decades now. I began to codify that and realize that, okay, this is actually repeatable. It doesn't seem to matter what my subject matter is, what my genre is, how many subjects there are, where we're photographing or creating. There are what the ages of my subjects are. There were so many factors that were still covered in this methodology that I began to realize, okay, this is actually a pretty solid system. And
Mm,
so it's essentially a what I call a sales system. I mean, we are talking about profitable photography,
yes.
in the end. And I just began to realize that there are certain things that when I do these certain things well and repeatedly, my sales improve dramatically.
Can you
And so,
can you do a step-by-step breakdown of that? Can
a-
you give us some bullet points?
absolutely. The basis of it is what I call the directed selling method. And it's a three-step process that most photographers these days are already familiar with categorically. Okay. Categorically, They would be a consultation, a photographic session, and a reveal. Okay, categorically. I term those as permission, process, and proof because for me, a consultation is not about collecting information.
Hmm.
It's about earning the right to lead someone, earning the right to lead someone, getting permission to guide.
Okay.
The
And
second,
what does that entail?
it, that's quite a longer conversation, but
Yeah.
it essentially do with understanding, as we've been touching on, of who they are, right? Getting beneath the surface and learning about more than, what's your favorite flavor of soda, or where do
Right.
you want to photograph, or what do you want to wear, right? Getting down to this is how with my client that I was just referencing, I was able to get into her story and understand this is where you've been. This is how it's shaped you. This is where you are as a result of this. This is what's meaningful to you in ways that she could not have actually articulated on her own.
Right.
And so that there are again now there are layers to this about exactly how I do this. But
Hmm.
fundamentally, that's the purpose, is to get down to what I call the truth of who someone is, not what they look like, not what they want to look like, not what product they want to buy, those kinds of things, but who are you? Let's recognize and celebrate that.
So good stuff, such good stuff. So the consultation may sound initially, even from the client, or maybe you've already told them that's more than details, but it's it's beyond uh let me show you my work so you're impressed. And then if you like it, let's plan the session. This is a deeper conversation. This is more like getting under the hood, basically.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
So,
Very, very much so.
so,
And there's a deep, deep psychology behind this as well that all once again goes back to this idea of trust.
right. Um, I've been encouraging people for so long to have those consultations, and uh, I've noticed like I did coach quite a bit. I don't do it as much, although I'm still available if someone feels like they want to enter that kind of relationship with me. But when I took people from either no consultation to or phone consultation or even Zoom consultation to sit down in person and have those conversations, their besides everything else was better, their sales like almost doubled overnight. Do you have thoughts on that or
Yeah.
experience with that?
Oh, absolutely. Exactly the same. At some point, when my studio was over in Arkansas, I was doing in-person consultations, but they were very much the information gathering approach. And when I began to take a different approach and began to have a different level of conversation, I noticed immediately that my sales improved. And while it seems like magic, it actually is simply because I believe it's at that stage that value is established, that what someone is buying. And it's been years now. I haven't said this in probably a decade and a half, but I used to say, you're not buying ink on paper, right?
Hmm.
You're not buying the pages in a book, or the leather cover. We as photographers tend to get so wrapped up in the quality of our product as if that's going to justify the price.
Hmm.
But that's not where the value is. I can't tell you what to value, but I can learn what you value.
Mm. So what are they buying then?
Aha. In most cases, for me, they're buying recognition.
Okay.
They're
Recognition
buying
of.
recognition of that magic inside. Frankly. So let's just get real. Most people that I meet do not walk around sharing their gifts in the world, or
Mm.
not nearly to the degree that they could be and really should be. That most people walking around the world are holding something back. And why? Is it because they're stingy? Is it because they're mean? Is it because they're apathetic? No, it has to do with their confidence. It has to do with how they see themselves in the world. That's why I believe in the power of a portrait to shape the way we see ourselves, celebrate our lives, and serve those around us. When we see ourselves differently, we step into our lives with more confidence and begin to share more of our gifts in the world, and everything gets better. Everyone around us gets better. And so
Love it.
fundamentally, that's what I'm after in this consultation, in this process, is to help, is to uncover for them what is that hidden magic? What are those beautiful gifts that you're holding back on? Where is the breakdown in confidence for you so that I can now help you recognize how you are actually magnificent in a unique way?
And how did you go from just the fax ma'am consultation to this deeper dive? I know uh, Steve Saporito. Do you know Steve?
I don't know him personally.
Okay. So he is all about the gospel of deep conversation. And
Okay.
used to call it a discovery session or something.
Mm,
And although I had always kind of, because I'm a an extrovert with a nice dose of introvert, but I always get on personal levels with people really fast. That's just my nature. But to have a structure and some questions and some ways to start to get to the heart of it, that's like his superpower he teaches. So what turned the tide for you to be like, I need these to be more than just questions about,
yes.
surface things.
Honestly, great question, Lucy. What happened for me is in these just the facts, ma'am, kind of consultations, even though I am an introvert, deeply introverted, I'm also an empath.
Ah,
In my early life really caused me problems because I did not know what to do with this.
mm-hmm.
I didn't understand it. I couldn't process, right? I
Yeah,
have learned what to do with that. And among other things, I've learned that even when someone is saying something to me at a surface level, there's so much that's going on under the surface. And by learning to recognize those signals and understand them, I just began um, experimenting, if you will, with leaning human, right? Instead of the
mm,
robot that's simply taking orders, I just began to lean human. And sometimes would even interrupt a conversation and say, for some reason, I'm feeling like you're uncomfortable in this particular area. Is there something that I can do to help you be more comfortable? And just people recognizing, hearing that they're being actually seen on a deeper level began to unlock things for them and for us in that conversation that I could never have gotten any other way. And this began to happen more and more until I realized that's actually so much more valuable to them than me taking down again like what their favorite color is or some location that they want to go.
right. So this was a natural progression in your own experiences, and
Yeah.
I'm also an empath, and um, so I understand what you're talking about. So there wasn't like a class, but it sounds like you then began to think through what is it I'm doing
Yes.
and how to help others that may not uh, have this natural ability to sense
Correct.
things,
Exactly
how
so.
to start doing it. So
Yeah.
that's
Yes.
awesome.
And honestly, one of the things that I train photographers on in this phase, in the permission phase, is even though it may be your natural tendency to begin to supply answers for a client, to try to be relatable, to try to demonstrate that you understand them, actually simply holding space for someone else is one of the greatest gifts you can give them.
Absolutely. Okay, so consultation, session, reveal. So
Yes. So,
what kinds of things do you do in the session
yeah,
slash the process
yeah,
that
that's the process.
enhances the sale?
Exactly so. So fairly simply, I'm borrowing from the consultation. I'm borrowing from the permission stage, using the things that they told me about themselves. And I'm going to reference that previous client again here in just a moment. Um, as a way of leading them into that place where their magic is revealed, right? Or where meaning is revealed. And it could be something as simple as in a consultation, someone revealed to me that um, they've always been a leader. That from childhood, their teachers would always put them at the head of the class and have them helping, or whatever the case may be,
Mhm.
right? Just little details that I pick up on and I say, okay, this is how this person needs to see themselves, right? So
Mm,
now, as I'm beginning to guide them, as I'm beginning to direct them in front of my camera, I'm going to do things that begin to bring that forward and even let them know. So rather than this, I'd really like to see a little bit more of this because, and I will
mm,
reference something that they said. And that lets them know once again, oh, I'm being listened to. I'm actually being seen in this moment. And of course, I'm going to reward that. When they show me that aspect of themselves and it feels true to the camera, then I'm gonna let them know, look, that was brilliant. That's exactly what we're looking for. Let's have more of that.
So that's
And I really
giving
love to
them
create,
confidence in what you're doing, that you're doing a great job photographing them,
yeah,
and that like the perceived value of what you do
yes, but
uh,
also,
goes
and
up and up.
I would yes, but also, and I would say this is of even more importance, is rather than them getting more confidence in me as the photographer,
Mm,
I'm giving them more confidence in themselves as a person.
right.
So it's not, look, I'm doing such a great job photographing you. It's, see, I told you you were brilliant.
Hmm.
I'm seeing it coming out in front of me right now in real time. I am a witness. I am a witness to how amazing you actually are. And that is much more powerful than aren't I doing a great job? You know, praise my holy name.
Right. But all of that raises the perceived value. So,
Yeah.
okay,
Oh,
so I
very
get
much
that.
so. And then all
So,
of that goes forward now into the reveal.
yes. So tell me about the reveal slash
So
proof.
yeah. Yeah, the proof stage is where I'm not simply showing them images and going, so what do you like?
Hmm.
Which ones speak to you? During this proof process, I am demonstrating this image and this image are my favorite for this set because they reflect this and this that you told me in our consultation.
Mm,
I'm going back to what they already value and tying that value to the portrait.
love it. Love it.
So
So,
now it's not just a random image that I might happen to like and might happen to not like.
right.
Instead, it's actually a revelation of who I am.
So let's say it's a portrait of a child and you've delved into what they love, what's the essence of the child, what they want to see, for example. Um, and then you capture that. Then at the sales session, what do you call it?
I call it a selection session
Okay, the
because for
selection
me,
session.
usually we will have talked about what we're going to create, and now we're simply selecting the images that we're going to use to make that product.
Got it. So you're there. So for example, I have images where I've captured all of that of a child, and they're not usually smiling. And if a client was left on their own, just where I said, "What do you like?" Most of them would pick out all the smiling pictures. And
Yes.
if they're not uh, being drawn to the ones that, like, I don't know if you can see the little boy looking through
Oh, yeah.
the screen, that was a lone print. The mom was like, "Oh, that's all right. He's not smiling." And I'm like, a smile has one feeling, but how many stories can you tell when you see that? And as your little boy grows up, you're going to see that same expression in different
Yeah.
ways. And so, it's uh, what I'm saying, what you can confirm is that during the selection session, you're offering that guidance, that artistic eye, that expertise. You're reminding them of what the goals were, and you're pointing out what's the most successful. So you're actively participating. Am I on track with that?
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. We say this all the time that a picture's worth a thousand words. I disagree. I disagree. Again, coming from the world of fine art and spending so much of my life in galleries and looking at it. I mean, I've made my to um, my personal influence was the Northern Renaissance, the Dutch masters, we call
Hmm.
them. I've made my Mecca to Amsterdam. I've made my Mecca to Florence. I've stood in these amazing galleries. I was just in Madrid at the Prado and seen the works in person by these masters. And yet there are docents there who are trained in understanding the meaning behind
Hmm.
these amazing pieces, who could spend hours talking with you about a single piece. And that is necessary for us to really actually understand what went into this piece and what it actually means. So I feel like we as photographers are doing an incredible injustice by not speaking up for the art that we create.
Right. So it's worth way more than 1,000, is what you're saying, that a picture's
I'm
worth
saying yes, absolutely.
endless. Yeah. And
That it
every day,
deserves, that it deserves.
yes,
Yes, go ahead.
it's like you can never step in the same river twice, and you can never look at a photograph or a painting and feel the same exact feeling because we're changing all the time. Our life is changing.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
that's what separates, I think, art from a snapshot or a photo.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. And one of
So,
the things, Lucy, I'll tell you just, oh, I'm sorry, please. Go ahead.
well, I'm just looking at the clock, so um, I want to hear what you have to say, and then I have a couple
Yeah.
questions
Oh,
for you. I know you have things to
certainly.
do today.
Is just going to add one little tidbit, and that is that um, one of the things that I love to do with my clients is, as I'm presenting a portrait and talking about it and sharing with them the thought process that went into it, and why certain artistic decisions were made that relate back to what they told me about themselves or their children or whatever the case may be, right? Is I like to point out something and give them an aha moment, something that they would have glossed over and never noticed really on their own. But once
Hmm.
they see it, they can't ever unsee it. And that's a gift, because now when that portrait is hanging in their home, everyone else that comes to stand in front of that portrait and enjoy it, they have the privilege of being able to give that person that same aha moment.
Ah,
And this again creates an incredible feeling of value on the part of the client, which translates to sale.
I love it. I love it. And I'm thinking about, so many photographers have the imposter syndrome,
Mm.
and I'm thinking this mirror method or method mirror, what did you call it?
The
Mirror
mirror
method,
method.
uh,
Yeah.
puts, so to me, the cure for that insecurity is to stop thinking about ourselves. Stop focusing on, are we good enough? Are we doing
Yeah.
enough? And
Yeah.
so what I'm hearing is you're saying focus on the client. And this
Yes.
can't help but soothe that imposter syndrome because then we're not, do you love me? Do you love me? Do you love me? It's like, how can I love you? How can I see
Yeah.
you? How can I express that?
So
And
well said.
and then what I also love, and I'm glad you show them big like I do, is when we sit with people and we experience their reactions, it's such a confidence booster.
Hmm.
And I'm imagining your clients who, you've given them the why and they've had this magnificent experience. It's a boost for your own knowing that you're doing what you're put here to do.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
get our own self and our work being, it's not a validation of who we are. What I heard you say earlier, it's who they are. Keep
Yes.
our focus outside of ourselves.
Yes. Yes. The images, the art that we create is a validation of who they are,
Yeah.
right? But
Hmm.
then, but then that sale and the fact that most of my clients become friends, that's a
Right.
validation that I am in fact on the right path, that I am in fact doing good work.
Right. Right. I love it. I wish we had another hour to do a next level. Maybe another time we can do that.
I would love to
Um,
come back if it fits your
I'd
calendars.
love to. So two questions or two and a half. One, how can someone see your work, get in touch with you?
Certainly. So my website, williamlawrence.com with the M this time,
Okay,
COM, is my main portfolio on Facebook. I'm simply WL for William Lawrence, WL Fine Art, and the same on Instagram,
great.
WL Fine Art.
And these will be in the show notes. So I know you have a gift for us. Um, so
Yes.
what is
So
that?
my
How do we find that?
Absolutely. It really is the core, I think of as philosophies behind what led to the mirror method. There, you can also think of them as five shifts that a photographer can make to immediately begin creating work with more value that also generates higher sales. And you can find that at williamlawrence.co/5, the number five, and principles. No
Great,
dash, no underscore. Just williamlawrence.co/5 principles. And you can download the PDF where I share more of that philosophy.
great. And the PDF title is The Mirror Method, the Five Principles of Identity-Driven Portraiture. So gives people something to start with. This all sounds great, but like, how do we start? So that's
Yeah.
so generous. All right. So, last question is this the opportunity for you to either share a little nugget that you think, oh, I I left that out, or she didn't ask me about that, or just your
Hmm.
parting thoughts. So the floor is yours.
I'll just say this as a parting thought, Lucy. I really believe that the value that we create in the world is unparalleled. I have clients that will sit and share things with me that they don't tell their closest friends. And I will have clients sit and ask me, so of these, William, which would you put on the wall? What would be your choice for portraits that I'm going to spend thousands of dollars on? And they don't ask that of their jeweler. They don't go to the jewelry store and ask, which ring do you think looks best on my finger? There is an opportunity to impact people's lives that, in my opinion, is unparalleled. And I just want more photographers to actually own the respect and the dignity that we have and that we can give.
Fantastic. Thank you for saying yes. I hope listeners, there's been a few little glitches along the way, but it was worth, you know, I don't know, having this conversation today rather than trying to start it when it's not raining in Memphis.
Absolutely.
And William, I'm just so grateful for this conversation. You and I share the same heart for
Very
our our photography and our art as a service to the world, and also teaching, because the more people know about this and approach their craft with that heart, the more of this will be in the world, because you and I can't do it all. We can't photograph everybody in here, every
exactly.
story. So
Exactly.
thank you,
Exactly.
thank you, thank you, my new friend.
It, it has been my privilege and my honor, honestly, Lucy. I look forward to you connecting again in the future, and I really appreciate all the work that you're doing as well.
Thank you. Now, if I can find the pause button, there it is. They keep moving it around. All right. Thank you.
All right. Thanks so much for your time, and we'll hopefully talk again soon.
Great. So, being a podcaster is like a box of chocolates. You never know what amazing people you're going to meet and what great conversations. And this was a good one. I just loved William Lawrence Bell and his heart for serving with his art. He's got a art with heart or heart with art. Let's see. So a little bit of wrap up. Um, we talked about how photographing people uh, has the potential, at least for he and I'm sure a lot of other people, to get great joy in the exchange that you have when you're photographing people. There's like a buzz, I said, like a hit of tequila or something that is like it's very gratifying. And then showing people the work, and for him, he spends time intentionally digging deep into people's lives and essence, and he he wants to reveal people to themselves. So my suggestion, because um, it, profitable photographer is the title of this show, and one of the ways that I've seen over my 40 plus years and all the people that I've met, interviewed, had lunch with, took classes from, just hung out with as friends, the more people get on that personal level with their clients, seems to be the more profitable they are. And he has a system which is similar to many of us who are successful, where he can enhance all of that with a consultation and the things he says and does at his sessions and what he does at the sales session or the reveal or the ordering session, whatever we want to call it. Um, and anyway, so I'd like to inspire you to think a little bit deeper about your why, whatever it is you're doing. If you're photographing birds, um, as art, and like the why of that, dig deep into that essence of you and find ways to expand on that. So that's what I have for today in the wrap up. What a lovely man, lovely conversation. And until next time, see you later.